Welcome back to Devotions from History. On April 14th of 1912, the RMS Titanic sailed swiftly over the bitterly cold ocean waters and straight into the pages of history. At 11:40 p.m., an iceberg struck the starboard side, spraying ice onto the deck and ripping open 6 of the watertight compartments. And the sea poured in. On board the ship that night was a young pastor named John Harper. A few years earlier he had buried his young wife, and all he had left was a 6-year-old daughter. He scooped his little girl up into his arms, got her onto a lifeboat, kissed her goodbye, and said, "Honey, Daddy will see you one day in heaven." He then turned to see who else he could help. When it was obvious that the ship was going down, about 1,500 of the passengers jumped from the deck and into the frigid waters below. People in the lifeboat reported seeing this young pastor swimming from person to person, asking them the same question: "Are you saved? Are you ready to meet Jesus?" One young man reports that while he was hanging to a piece of debris, John Harper swam over to him and asked him those questions: "Are you saved? Do you know Jesus?" The young man replied that he did not. John Harper then took off his life jacket, tossed it to the man, and said, "Here, take this, please. You need it more than I do." And then in those frigid waters he proceeded to lead the young man in a prayer of salvation. It was reported that as hypothermia began to set in and John Harper kept going under the water, every time he would come up he would shout out to those around him, "Believe on the name of the Lord Jesus and you will be saved." Those were his last words before he sunk below the waters, never to resurface again. Now, Hollywood didn't choose to make the story of John Harper into a movie on the Titanic, but I wonder if Jesus didn't have someone like him in mind when he said, "Greater love has no man than this, than a man lay down his life for his friends." Many people were trying to buy their way onto the lifeboats when this young man who had everything to live for was willing to give up his own life jacket for someone else that he didn't even know. What possesses a man to do that? I think it's an understanding that there are things, eternal things, that are more important than the things that are temporary. Because the reality is, of every 100 people who live, 100 of them will die. And what is most important is not how you die, but where you spend eternity. And that's what John Harper understood and why he asked the question over and over: "Are you saved? Are you ready to meet Jesus?" So today, on April 14th, I would ask you, are you saved? Are you ready to meet Jesus? Are you certain of eternity? If you are, then you need to be out swimming to as many other drowning people as you can and asking that question. And if you're not, stop and think. If life ended for you today, are you ready? If you're not, you can be. Believe on the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved. And that is some of the best history you can ever make.